Today on the Executive Espresso, I'm joined by Anna Livingston, former Chief People Officer at Tennis Australia and now a Senior People Leader at AIA. We talk about building trust through transparency, why instant coffee still hits the spot, and how the best leaders know when to simply just walk the floor. This is the final episode of Season 1. Thank you to everyone who's listened, who's shared, who's commented, or just quietly tuned in the background. I hope you've gained something from the episodes. And to every guest who let me into their world, I am truly grateful. Season 2 launches later in 2025. We have new sponsors, new content, and amazing new leaders to learn from. Until then, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Anna. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of the Executive Espresso.
Absolute pleasure.
It's good to see you
for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, Anna, before we jump into the leadership and the culture questions, I'd love to know, it's called the Executive Espresso. So what's your favorite coffee that you like to order?
So had you asked me this question before inviting me on, I think you may have dumped me because I don't like espresso coffee. My coffee of choice is instant.
Instant coffee.
I know.
You've just been scrapped off all Melburnian lists.
A walking bogus.
Yeah.
But to be honest, we grew up drinking in a household of tea drinkers.
Yeah.
So I didn't have coffee till later in life. And then because I was doing the, paid $2 to work admin and reception, it was whatever was in the tea room, which was Nescafe.
Yeah.
And that to this day is my coffee of choice.
Yeah.
So at home we've got the fancy machine,
Gotcha.
and then I've got my little pot of Nescafe Gold.
There we go.
That's my coffee of choice.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Probably first and last person that answers with instant coffee.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's what I grew up on as well.
Yeah.
Right? That was just what it was.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
And there was always a method to stirring it. Make sure that you got all the granules dissolved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the good old milk before water, hot water, or after.
Okay.
I'm an after.
Yeah.
You add the milk after.
Gotcha.
Water.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. All right. And when you wake up in the morning, is the first thing to the coffee machine? What are you doing your first 15 minutes of the day?
So I'm usually arguing with myself as to whether I'm going to hit snooze or am I going to get up and get on the Peloton bike, which is my exercise of choice as a working person. And of recent times, the snooze button has won, if I'm honest. On good days, I will get up and trudge off into the exercise area and do that. But if it's been a big week or I got to bed too late, I just hit snooze. And then it's up at it, kids, shower, get everyone ready, rush out the door. Those few hours in the morning are often the most stressful.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
You kind of get to work and think I've worked a day already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's coming from someone who's been the Chief People Officer at Tennis Australia and now at AIA. And still the most stressful thing is getting the kids to school every day, right?
It's so true, though. Everything else you can somewhat control or predict, but young people, no chance.
No chance.
It's just every day is a new, disaster, tantrum, opinion to be managed.
To be managed. Exactly. So I mentioned Tennis Australia and I've mentioned AIA. You've led diverse teams, I'm presuming diverse cultures within those teams, diverse backgrounds. Can you walk me through maybe some leadership principles that have remained quite constant for you over the years?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me, so without sort of getting too far off track, I grew up in, very happy, beautiful upbringing in suburban Melbourne. But the interesting thing with our family environment was my mum had a gift shop in the local shopping strip, and Dad had his small business in the offices upstairs. And so I think from a very young age, we were brought up in an environment that had was firstly connected to a small business and, all hands on deck, regardless of age. But an exposure to a really wide variety of people. And that's really stuck with me if I think through to now my career choices and the things that I'm passionate about. I do have a deep sense of desire to have everybody that I work with feel comfortable to be there, to be themselves. Um, and I'm deeply curious about people. So when you think about sort of diverse teams and different cultures, it fascinates me and I find I gravitate to that. And once amongst it, I try really hard to have people feel very comfortable to just be themselves. And so then when you introduce the sort of more diversity and inclusion strategies and initiatives and programs, it's coming from that premise of the desire and an interest in people and their backgrounds and opinions, but also creating an environment where they feel comfortable to share those. Yeah.
I mean, being the head of people, you are literally at the forefront of people leadership, right? Is there, or how do you strike the balance between business performance and still having that kind of human-centric, values-driven organization? I mean, people often say, we've got stakeholders, we need to think about the revenue, and it goes hand in hand. But I mean, have you been in situations where you've had to sort of adapt or pivot?
Definitely, definitely. And I think it's really common in organizations for all employees that at some point they're going to question why is this decision being made at the very least to the extreme of I don't agree with this at all and I'm losing confidence and trust in whatever it might be that's going on in the organization. And as a leader, we're often faced with the responsibility of really fronting those decisions and owning them and I suppose being equipped with the information to be comfortable that those were the decisions made, but then to bring people on that journey. And to do that in a way that's authentic can be hard because in my view, we can't be lost. It can't be lost on us that those questions are real and those doubts are real for people. And in my experience, I think the best way to navigate those difficult decisions, albeit trying to honour and respect the people involved, transparency, be as honest and open and treat people as adults, as intelligent, smart individuals that need to be equipped with information so they can make the best choices for themselves. So transparency and honesty is really big for me. And I feel particularly in that workplace dynamic that will sort of earn dividends. So that's sort of principle number one. And then I think closely connected is just be really honest and I said honest, but like authentic and connect with people. So if the message you're delivering is one that's difficult or that we know has a detrimental outcome on that person, own it, be genuine, support through that journey. I think to hide away or to shy away from that is sort of the worst thing you could do as a leader. I also think it's really important to just treat people with respect, regardless of the circumstance. So if you're being transparent and honest and you're compassionate and respectful, it's not to mean that the outcome's any better, but I think in the most part, people's experience will be better and they will feel, respected throughout. It's a hard one though.
Yeah. And, a lot of people talk about this authentic and self-aware leader. What does that mean to you? Like, what is authenticity to you and how is it shown?
What does it mean? I mean, I talk about it constantly, this sort of authentic and organic connection. I think for me, it's about I mean, I'm in the world, my profession is people. So
Yeah.
I want to connect with people. And in that connection is going to create authenticity because I'm curious. I'm going to ask, tell me about yourself. Tell me
Mm,
what's going on. Tell me about your background. Tell me what's upsetting you. Why is it upsetting you? I want to, I care. So I
mm,
think the key's in the connection. If
mm.
leaders aren't connecting with people, it's very difficult to then be authentic because you're authentic to whom?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I think it's about connection. I think it's about humility,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. I have no interest in being the smartest person in the room. I couldn't. The
Yeah.
responsibility of that is beyond me. And I am. I like people. I'm curious
Mm,
about people. That's why I do what I do. So I think those combinations really can help foster trusted connection, um, and that's authentic.
yeah.
You care.
Do you think there was if you think back, was there a kind of pivotal moment in your career and in your journey that has kind of led you to understand this way of leadership a bit better?
I do have a moment early in my career, which started in sort of ER, heavily unionized
Gotcha.
workplace environments. And it was really a really formative point where I was working in manufacturing, automotive manufacturing, and the business I worked for we had our global head office, so you sort of
Mm.
corporate white collar, and four factories, four foundries on this site, the same environment. So for me, PNC, I was there to support the kind of gamut of that workforce. And there was a head of ops, and so his remit was to run the factory. And he would get in. It was 24/7 operations, so he would get in. I don't know, probably 4:35 a.m. to catch the night shift and then be there till sort of 5, 6 p.m. to spend time with the afternoon shift. And he
Wow.
did that. And every single day, the first, middle, and last thing he would do of the day was walk the factory line.
Yeah. Wow.
And most of the people that worked in that part of the business, English was their second
Mhm.
language. Most of them had never worked anywhere else. And um, but what that showed me was, firstly, he had such respect for what they did.
Yeah.
He knew that they knew it better than him. He built trusted connections with these people, given the maybe cultural barriers, certainly hierarchical differences. And that place ran so well.
Mhm.
And I think, I don't know why that had such big impact on me. I was so impressed. I was impressed by the humility, the connection to really the end game
Mhm.
and getting the best result for all of them, the team at hand, the discipline, and yeah, I just think it was such a wonderful example
Yeah.
of leadership.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I still to this day think about that a lot. Mm,
Yeah. He sounds like a high performer, right?
yeah,
For that time. And I'm sure over the years you must have seen both incredibly high performers and possibly very many low performers over the years. How would you, in your time, how would you define high performance? Because I'm sure over the years
yeah,
that definition has changed, right? This example that you've just given, that's no one does that now,
no,
right?
mm,
And it's not a good thing or a bad thing. Just maybe priorities have changed,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
you know
yeah,
things look different
yeah,
these days
yeah.
compared to back then. Um, yeah, what would you see now as that kind of definition of high performance?
It's really interesting. I'd probably start by saying high performance can mean so many different things to
Mm,
so many different people and teams. So to define kind of a model or
mm.
one suite of character traits is challenging. I mean, I had the blessing of working with elite athletes.
Yeah.
and I would observe the way in which they had built their careers, conducted, that kind of match preparation, the respect for their bodies, which was the tool
Yeah.
um, upon which they had. Fascinating exposure. And then I sort of think, what was the learnings there that you could correlate to, say, an organizational team and high performance there? And it's hard. They're sort of distinct and different. There were aspects of the athletes that, there was just this unbelievable belief in their capabilities. And with that was a selfishness that had to happen. It had to be there because it was this or nothing. You win or you lose. They are the only options. So, and so I think, would that correlate? I don't know, Verge. I think high performing teams, if we think of it from that perspective, are very circumstantial to the situation. But then there are other times of, say, rebuild or off the back of great results. How do we, okay, everyone's had a fantastic result. We've all celebrated. Now we've got to get going again. How do we pick them up and motivate them for the time to come? That's storytelling. It's around creating vision and hope and connection with people. So I know I haven't answered that question well.
I think you have. Yeah.
I'm not sure there is one answer to high performing teams. I think it's about adapting to what is needed at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you mentioned circumstantial, right?
Yeah.
And that I think goes in line with adapting to the circumstance and to the situation, the scenario.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mentioned in there character traits, right? When you are hiring people into organizations or you're a stakeholder in those interviews, are there certain character traits that you look for that are maybe not on a resume?
100%. And I am very biased from this perspective.
Tell me more.
Yes. And often because it'd be my role on that panel to come at it from, the good old saying culture fit, or, looking for the characteristics, personality styles that would complement an organization. So more often than not, I don't really care what technical capabilities people have. I'm not that interested in qualifications.
Yep.
I might be curious on certain, roles or experience, but more often than not, I'm more interested in about what were the circumstances, what were the problems, who were the people they had to work with, how did they interact with those difficult stakeholders. So to come back to it, I just am such a believer in there are things that you can't teach. For the stuff we can teach, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll sort that out once you're in the door. I'm focusing on the stuff you can't teach. And interviewing is a hard method to establish that, because you're often there for 45 an hour. If you're lucky, often the interviewee is not at their best. They're going to be nervous. They might be trying to answer things in the way you want them to. They think you want to hear.
It's a bit scripted.
Yeah. So I want to get under the hood. I want to relax the environment. I'm keen to talk to them about how they got here today. Tell me your story. Go back as far as you want. It's about the person for me, and that's hard. That's hard to establish, obviously. But for me, those are the qualities that I'm looking for. What drives you? What are your values? What are those guardrails you apply in your life? That's important.
One of the previous guests that I had on the show, he had a little trick in interviews where he used to ask the candidates, if I could speak to one of your friends, how do you think they would describe you?
Yeah.
Right? And the candidate would go off and do all these amazing things. And then he'd say, pull out your mobile phone, let's phone your friend and let's see if they would corroborate that. And he was never going to phone the friend, but he wanted to see their reaction to that situation, right? Do they freak out because then they're hiding something?
Yeah.
Or do they take the phone out and say, here we go?
Okay.
Yeah. So he said he used it a few times until HR told him to stop using it. So I don't think he's used it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's a good one.
It's a good, I mean,
Yeah.
this is, and look, I have full respect having
Mm.
sat on the other side of that table. You know, you're there to pitch yourself and you're trying to show whoever it is that is interviewing you that you are the person for the role. And people are gonna throw everything they can at that. And I have full respect. It's just about trying to work out the best fit for both.
Yeah. We were talking about this earlier. It's a pretty tough market out there at the moment, and there's a lot of very, very good, high-performing candidates still on the lookout for good jobs. Would you be able to give them any tips or techniques that you've kind of learned over the years that maybe they can start applying to, whether they're applying to jobs or in interview situations?
Well, firstly, off the bat, I would say I know how it feels. So between my wonderful 10 years at tennis and coming to AIA, I had a period of time where I deliberately wanted to enjoy a portion, and then the portion of time carried on a bit longer than I was expecting. And so I'm so grateful I had that opportunity professionally, because up till that point, I had the privilege of of always sitting on the side of the seat, of not really feeling the world of a candidate that is looking for work, and without the maybe landing, what do you call it? Landing strip of it being in role. They're already in role. So I understand the ebbs and flows of confidence, of self-doubt, of questioning, have I hit my ceiling? Should I be looking for roles that I was doing 10 years ago? Maybe that's now my shtick, and that's where people are seeing me. Questioning your value and knowing whether you're selling yourself in the best way possible. It is really hard. So I say that from the outset. And then I think, what tips? I mean, gosh, just be yourselves. I think as time goes on, more and more, I believe less and less in certain theories or the models that we're meant to be, and principles to just be yourself. It's too tiring not to be. The effort of the facade is exhausting, and I also am a big believer in, if you do that, you'll find your tribe. And if in doing that you don't, they're not the tribe you want anyway. So maybe just lead with your best foot forward, and know that something will come up at some point. Yeah, keep at it.
Yeah. There's a lot of emphasis being put on personal brand at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, do you, for instance, in an interview stage, you've got a resume, people have seen good things about this person. Do you jump online? Do you do a quick Google?
I might have a look on LinkedIn, and what I'll look on is things where, say, if they've posted something, what the comments are. Because I think that's a good reflection of a following.
Gotcha.
I don't really. I probably should. I don't stalk on Instagram or Facebook. I don't have Facebook. That's probably part of my issue. No, but I don't know, pros and cons. I'm a very trusting person, so I probably should be doing my DD.
Yeah. I think people are starting to build their personal brand a lot more on the sidelines for situations they find themselves in where they are looking for a job. At least then they have a network. Because I find a lot of the times, especially with executives, they get so caught up with their day job, they leave their networks behind. And then they find themselves in a situation looking for a job. And all of a sudden they have to start from day one again, trying to rebuild networks, because a lot of their previous networks have either retired or moved on or whatever that may be. And I get the feeling from a lot of people that they have to take steps back, not in career, but just in terms of networks to try and get back out there again. Where, they could be spending some, afternoons having a cup of coffee, just, keeping those networks and relationships up and running. I think that's maybe now where social media is coming into it with the likes of LinkedIn, is that you can do that a lot easier than having 20 cups of coffee a week.
Right? Absolutely. And again, just through my recent years of experience, that was me. I had very little to no network, had been head down, bum up, not even really, if I'm honest, probably respected the value in it. It was always a case for me of, the drinks invite might come through. Oh, I'm too busy. I'll leave it. It's not a big deal. I've learned the hard way it is a big deal and you do need to invest in it. And it's not investing in it just because one day you may need a new role and they will be the cohort to help you. There's enormous benefit in actually having a network beyond your current gig that can support in lots of different ways and you can support in return. So I do think there is, and you're right, social, LinkedIn and social media, other platforms like that have made it much easier. And I think the old adage of it's a really small world. So
Australia in particular.
Yes, exactly. It's not uncommon to have a connection with 1-2 people and the next thing you know, they know others over here and it can grow quite quickly with relatively manageable effort. So yes, it is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any non-negotiables for you with your teams or with people that you're interviewing that is just like, no?
I have a bit of an aversion for arrogance.
Okay.
But I know
it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And it's a strength in some roles that can be enormously valuable. I just find it a bit.
I think it comes with wisdom as well.
Yeah.
It comes with a bit of time and experience.
Yeah.
Because it is a fine line between confidence and arrogance.
That's right. That's exactly right. And in fact, that's probably a good shout because self-confidence and assurance is an absolute strength. Where it's misplaced comes across as sort of, that better than.
Yes. Yeah.
Not great. And that, yes, to your point, that's probably experience and knowing how to really garner that trait in the best way possible. I don't love that. I don't know. Like I'm pretty hard for me to meet someone I don't like. I'm really curious. So if there's an interaction which has sort of prickled me in some way, I'd be keen to know why. Like, what was it about that? Or I wonder why they answered the question in that way. And I'm often into a bit of a dig around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not many kind of flat out non-negotiables though.
Yeah. Are there any mistakes that you see when people are in interviews or applying for jobs? Any big mistakes and you're like, oh gosh, I can see this over and over again.
I think probably not listening is one that happens a lot.
Yes.
Good shout. I just
Yeah.
feel as if also I kind of get it too. You've come in, you've done your preparation, you've thought about the questions that will be answered and how you're going to answer them. So you're ready to go. Please just listen to what's being asked and being spoken about and if you're not quite clear, just ask again. There's no harm. But it happens quite a lot where candidates will completely miss the question and in the enthusiasm kind of go off on a tangent that's a good 10 minutes where
and they've lost their audience.
That's it.
One that always gets everybody is the reflection piece. And I always say to them, it doesn't have to be a positive reflection.
Yeah.
It can go wrong
Oh,
because you're an executive. Things go wrong,
they do.
right? But it's how you've learned from that previous project or experience or scenario that you've carried through to the next project, etc.
See, that's such a good point because it is so powerful in an interview where you see vulnerability.
Yeah.
And often that'll come through a reflection or a story that hadn't gone to
Mm-hmm.
plan or feedback that had been given that somebody's since worked on. So good to see. And it can be enormously powerful,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean, you've obviously led a variety of different teams. What advice would you give to emerging leaders who are aiming to drive some sort of meaningful change in organizations? Um, is there something that you would, a piece of advice you'd give them?
Um, well, I'd probably start by saying I'm not sure I'm an expert at it by any stretch, but what I have observed, and maybe through change not going well,
Mm.
is don't underestimate the power of the vibe. And by that, I mean, if you're not connected to the real pulse of a
Mm.
business and the workforce, not the leaders, but the actual workforce, if you miss that tone, you're dead before you
You're done.
started.
Yeah.
No hope. I am such a big believer in understanding and being connected to that. I call it the vibe, but
Mm.
it's what's being actually it's not my term, so I can't claim it, but the BWMs. Have you heard of no, sorry, BMWs?
The cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another acronym for them would be the bitches, moaners, and whiners.
Gotcha.
Mm,
Okay.
BMWs.
Yeah.
What are
Love
they
that.
saying? Yes, because we all have them.
Yes.
We've all been one at any
Yeah.
given hour of the day. Um,
Normally in the morning, getting the
yeah,
kids
yeah,
ready
yeah,
for school. Yeah.
exactly. Get me on the B.
Yeah.
Um, so I just think that's so important
Mm.
because if you're trying to largely ask politely people to do something differently, you've got to be connected to where they are right then. And unless you provide a compelling reason to change, they just won't do it.
Yeah.
So it's really to back to your question of if you're embarking on a change activity or trying to lead a large scale change, who is your
Mm.
audience? Where are they at? What's the language they understand? And speak to that.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing that,
Mm.
it will not work.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've spoken to organizations who have gone down a change transformation agenda or project, and it fails because they forget to take the people on the
Yeah.
journey. They
Yeah.
just think we'll change this ICT system or go
Yes.
digital, but then they forget about the people.
Yeah.
I think I read something recently. It was some sort of meme where it said 95% of digital transformations fail because they forget to take the people on the journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a simple one.
I know.
Mm.
And I have some sympathy because often change in organisation, there's an urgency behind it. So
Mm.
something's happened and we need to quickly solve. So
Mm.
you're doing
Mm.
this and it has to have happened yesterday. And taking people on that journey is effort and it
Yeah.
can take time and it can feel like you're kind of two steps back to go one step
Yeah.
forward. But geez, you pay the price of not doing it and it will pay dividends by sort
Mm.
of going slower at the
Mm.
start to then realize the benefits later.
Yeah.
And that can be hard because there's lots of stakeholders to convince the need to do that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Sticking on the change
Mm.
agenda, if you could implement one really bold change or statement in the corporate world, like tomorrow, what would it be? What is something that's been sort of niggling at you over the years that if you had the opportunity to do it?
Um, have one-on-ones.
Okay.
I just think from power of a good one-on-one with
Mm.
when an employee and their leader can change organizations.
Yeah. So you're saying we should have more?
Well, in some instances, I'd say have them
Oh, in the first
in the
place.
first
Oh,
place.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're not, and if they are happening, keep them up and
Yeah.
really invest in them. And I've fallen victim to this. The week gets busy and you're
Yeah.
rearranging meetings. And so you just move the one-on-one. We'll catch
Yeah.
up over email and let me know if there's anything urgent. and I'm talking to myself here, don't. Like, stop your day, sit down and talk with your team, connect, look them in the eyes, ask them, how are you? How are you going? What can I help with? What's energizing you? What's emptying your cup? What can we do to solve for it? I just think the power in connection and the frequency and routine of that connection with your leader, even if the leader's not a great leader, the fact that they're there and showing you and asking you and giving you that time and hopefully care of listening to your answer, whether they do anything with it or not, that in itself is better than not having it at all.
Gotcha.
And so I would say if I could change one thing overnight, it would be that every leader insists on having a good one-on-one with their team member, weekly, fortnightly, no later than fortnightly. Just have them be connected.
You know, you sound like the type of leader that invests a lot of time and effort in their people. And there are a lot of leaders that do that really go above and beyond. How do you invest in yourself? How do you stay grounded? How do you keep developing yourself?
I need to say on investing in my people, I've still got lots I could be doing better. But how do a lot of, I think probably in all truth, I need to be probably investing more in my own development per se. Life's busy, work's busy, you just get busy.
Where do you find the time? Right?
Yeah, that's it. So if I'm kind to myself, I'd say that's at that end of the spectrum. Right now, it's just around the balance of the life boundaries. And I think personally for me, despite the profession I work in, I'm your definition of an introvert, actually. So I get my energy by being alone, by having time out from people. And I'm pretty disciplined with that, and I'm pretty good at knowing when I need it. So my commutes to and from work, I try to not be on the phone, not be with anybody else, and just treasure those moments. I'll try where I can to. I've got a beautiful friend who said, Anna, even if it's only 10 minutes, just get out for some fresh air, just get out and walk around the block or just the building or something to break that up. So I think the balance for me is at that stage right now, and I hope in time to really carve out dedicated sort of thinking space and investment in the broader development, of which I know there's so much to be done. And I suppose I am fortunate to be exposed to some wonderfully capable and far more impressive operators than me, that I almost working alongside them feel like I'm developing as a result.
Yeah, that's important to realize.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, you mentioned, you're not the smartest person in the room, and neither do you want to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I remember that quote from many, many years ago, that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because that's a lot of the time where that development happens.
Yes.
Is when you're just via, I don't know, what is it called, meiosis or whatever it is, right?
Exactly. And it's so, you hear people say when they're motivated by a new opportunity or what they're looking for, they want to be surrounded by people that can develop and grow, that they can learn from.
Yes.
And, there've probably been times in my career where I haven't had that, and then times where I've had that. And gee whiz, it's so good when you have it, because you're kind of kept on edge. You know that, you didn't do that as well as you probably could have, but you're surrounded by people that you can emulate. So or take bits from, and it's really motivating. Yeah, I am fortunate right now that I feel like I am surrounded by some outstanding professionals, and it's so energizing.
Anna, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with me. Last question before I let you go.
Yes.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self some advice, what would it be and why?
What would I say? think I would say stop doubting yourself and you think that all those people are thinking bad things about you, but they're not. They're not thinking about you at all. Don't worry about what people think. Don't worry about what people think, I think. And don't worry about, just stop doubting yourself, give it a crack. I still work on that. But definitely as a younger self, I would say, don't worry about what people think. Just do you.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Executive Espresso podcast, and look forward to seeing you again in season 2.